few minutes late. I was doing my best to get my 2-year-old down for his nap, and he just wasn't having it. And I pulled every trick I have in the book. I'm like, I read your 2 favorite stories. Da, da, da. We have a little order that he's very orderly, and still he wasn't having it. And then in the end, he was like, I want Princess, which means the Paper Bag Princess book by Robert Munch, and it's downstairs. And I was just like, no. I love you so much. Have a great nap. And he fussed for maybe 30 seconds after I closed the door. I was like, he's just tired, right? And you know how it is. If you just keep giving him things, then he might still want more things. And eventually I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and say good night or good afternoon. Bye. Anyway, so here I am, finally, a little late, but that's okay. And it ties in very much to what I had on my heart to share today, which is what I do. What can we big family moms do when we have moments of self-doubt? Because I have multiple opportunities a day, seasonally, like every year, where I, even as a veteran big family mom with 11 kids, been homeschooling now for 12 years, I have moments where I feel it. And so I just want to pack that a little bit with you now, because I just think it's it's a human experience, but big family moms, we experience it, I think, in our own ways. So for me, what it looks like is just these moments, like I was just telling with my 2-year-old, and I'm like, don't I have it yet? Like, am I doing enough? Like, why is this so difficult? And I feel it at the end of the day, I think, like bedtime, routine time for the kids, when all the things I plan to do that day, like the day is gone, right? There's only 24 hours in the day and I need to sleep for a good chunk of them. And I didn't get everything done, maybe on my to-do list. As satisfying as that is to check everything off on the to-do list. Sometimes I was overambitious. Sometimes the 2-year-old wouldn't go for his nap. Sometimes the baby was cluster feeding. Sometimes somebody popped by. Sometimes just, best laid plans. And so I can feel it at the end of the day sometimes. And I'm like, am I doing enough? And then it hits me at the end of a season. So we're starting up back to homeschool in 2 weeks. So I'm really switching gears. And even physically around me, the leaves are starting to change where I live in Canada. So I'm starting to see the orange in the trees. And as beautiful as it is, I love fall. It truly is my favorite season. And my birthday is in September. I turned 44. I feel it. I feel the change of season. And instead of being like, yay, a new season, like I maybe was when I was a kid, and I was looking forward to school before all the joy in life got sucked out of me because school became like a virtual prison. That was my experience. I, at the end of the summer, can feel like all the things I plan to get done this summer, personally, professionally, as a mom, as a wife, like all the things that I intended to do, I maybe didn't get them all done. Am I doing enough? Right? There's the doubt. Am I doing enough? Am I being a good enough mom? Am I giving my kids as best I can, like a good childhood? And then for anybody who knows me personally, my brother's coming to town. I haven't seen him in 4 years. He lives on the other side of the country, and he's coming with his 2 kids. Enter the 2-kid family comparison, right? Like, oh, why do I do this? I have videos about like, don't do this. And yet I had a moment this morning when he, I asked him like, oh, so what are your plans when, he's here for 2 weeks. We're going to get together on one day. And he recounts this whole itinerary of like, they're going to go to the museum of this and the museum of that. And they're going to go to Montreal for a bit. And they're going to do an overnight there. They're going to Niagara Falls. They're just like doing the whole like Eastern Ontario trip, and good for them. But I had this moment where I'm like, we didn't do anything like that with my kids this summer for a variety of reasons. Part of it financial, part of it just personal choice. And I just had this moment where I was like, am I giving my children a good life? Where does all this doubt come from, right? Like, does the devil really have to do it because I do it to myself? And then I feel it at the end of like a chapter, if you will. My oldest, my firstborn, is 17 now, and she's about to start her last year of high school, homeschool high school. I remember those years when people were like, are you really going to do this all the way through high school? And I'm like, so help me God, yes, I am. I have my why I choose to homeschool. Even though I never heard about it till I was in my 20s at Bible college. I thought it was a joke. I was like, that can't be legal. Anyway, here we are, about to enter into this major milestone, like the end of a chapter, like the end of a day, the end of a season, and the end of, what do I call this? Like the end of an era? And I'm like, okay, here's a little emotion. Just processing. We can be real. Did I do enough? Is she ready? Did I prepare her? I mean, I know she's not full blown launching into complete adulthood just because she's turning like the legal age of majority, considered legally an adult. She can vote. There's certain things she can do. She's not necessarily planning on leaving home. But I feel the end of an era because we don't require her to continue homeschool, high school beyond a certain point. And and we're going to enter into a whole new phase of life that for me is uncharted territory. Homeschool graduate. I'm excited, but I'm also nervous. And it's on these cusps, the end of the day, the end of the season, the end of an era, when doubt can come in. Like, I don't think I'm the only one who experiences this kind of crushing doubt. So, I mean, if you're here with me live or you're catching this later, feel free to comment and let me know. Yeah, I'm not the only one. So I'm speaking to myself like David did when I'm like, why are you so downcast, oh my soul? Right? Put your hope in God. And I'm having to rally my soul at moments like these, because if I just follow my feelings, I just follow those self-recriminating doubts and I compare myself to like an unrealistic comparison, 2-child family and an 11-child family. There are differences. There are similarities, of course. I mean, people are people, parents are parents, kids are kids. However, there are some differences. And it doesn't mean they're all bad differences like, filling up a tank of gas in our van is, close to $200. Whereas for them, that probably can get them a month. I don't actually know. But every prices have doubled for everybody. So certainly everybody's feeling it, but they're a double income family. We're not. Right? So instead of feeling sorry for myself or just beating myself up, because I can put some highlighter on my mental list of the things I didn't do, or I wish I'd done, or I hope to God I've done enough or done well. And if I kind of go down that mental road, that whirlpool of self-doubt, it can go to a dark place kind of for anybody. So what helps? First is for me, and this is, like I said, I'm reminding myself just as much as I'm sharing it with you, because I need to hear this all over again. Because even though I'm maybe a little further in the road of big family mom life than you are, if you're a couple years younger than me, your kids aren't even 10 yet, and you got 6 of them or something, I was there. And I'm just a little further ahead. So I'm reminding myself, because I've done this before, and I know that this too shall pass. These emotions, these feelings, these doubts, they will pass, but there's a way I can speed it up. So here's what I do. First of all, I recognize there's actually a grain of truth to those thoughts. There's a grain in there, right? Otherwise it just wouldn't stick. If all of a sudden this thought was like, Tara, why haven't you gone to the moon yet? I'd be like, because it was never on the to-do list. I just dismiss that mentally and move on. It wouldn't even stick with me. But there are little things. There are actually some grains of truth in my mental list of, have I prepared her well for life? Am I doing enough in my day, in the month, in the season, in the summer, in the childhood? Am I doing enough? Well, I think it's an honest question to be like, and enough is never enough, because you could always do more. But I think the heart of the question is, did I do okay? Will they be okay? Because I won't get everything done. There's always more I could have done. There's a trip we could have taken, a museum we could have gone to, a field trip we could have gone to, a course we could have studied, a vacation I could have budgeted differently for. There's all these things I could have, would have, should have. But if I spent too long there, it's probably not a healthy place for me to be. However, there's a difference. Here's my note. I like this one. I'm just going to read it because I was like, oh, good. You said it good here. There's a difference between evaluation and condemnation. Kind of like when I'm giving myself my own report card at the end of the day or the end of the season, like I was saying, it's kind of like a mental report card. And when I was growing up, my report card growing up always said, Tara is not living up to her full potential. And it was in French because I went to a French school, though I didn't speak French. I figured it out, but it took a while. So yeah, I wasn't always living up to it. And I think that maybe burned into me a little bit. And it's something that I need to kind of come back to God with. My own, because we all have our own stuff, our own baggage, our own messages that were spoken to us, whether it was on purpose or not, things we picked up along the way, and it still can influence us to the day, especially as moms, big family moms, especially those vulnerable moments at the end of the day, like I was talking about, when we're like, ugh, and we're giving ourselves our own evaluation. So I'm looking for the truth in there. Is there some truth? And then I'm like, actually, okay, maybe there is something constructive. Maybe I did really want to take the kids to the XYZ museum because I live right near the national capital. We have access to a lot of museums. Okay, if that's really important to me, how can I pull it? And I can go from just shame, condemnation. into some constructive action, right? And then instead of just staying in that emotional place of beating myself up, I can actually take some constructive action. I'm like, I've been meaning to read more with my 4-year-old. How could I do that? And I'm like, well, we could work it into her nap time routine. I could do just one book a day, because I don't read as much with her as I did with my first, and that's all I had was her to read with. So I use it as to find the grain of truth and then take a constructive action. Maybe not everything, but on one thing, right? Because then I don't just feel overwhelmed, but like all the things I could have done, but I'm not doing. The second is to give myself, right beside that grain of truth moment, is a whole heap of grace. Like I don't put sugar in my coffee, but I've sometimes seen people and they just start putting in like spoonfuls. And you're just like, wow, that's a dessert, right? But that picture of give myself those heaps, those big spoonfuls that are just running over, heaps and heaps and heaps of grace. And that's not license to sin. Heavens no, right? God forbid. But it's grace, God's abundant grace, that sometimes I deny myself because I'm like, no, I didn't get all the things done. Spoiler alert, I'll never get all the things done. And then I don't avail myself of the grace that he has so lavishly made available to me through Jesus Christ. So I needed to hear this today for my own soul to remind myself that when I'm having doubts of being a good mom, doing enough, getting enough done in the season, in the day, in the life, to trust that God's grace is sufficient. He chose for me to be the big family mom in my family just as much as you are in yours. And he knows my failings. And I cling to the verse that I've held on to since I really got burned on me when I was pregnant with the twins. This is from 2 Corinthians 12:9, if I'm not mistaken. You'll probably know this one. My grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in weakness. And I'm like, oh, Lord, here's all my weakness. Be perfected in it, right? Be glorified in it's never going to be enough. But it is what it is. This is my little, like my macaroni and glitter picture that I'm giving to the Lord like a child. And he's happy. He's pleased, right? And his grace fills in all the cracks. It has to, because if it's all on me, that's God level responsibility. And I don't believe that he's asked me to be super mom, to be everything to my children, but to be me with my flaws, with my good intentions, with, my mess and my glory and all of it, just to be me, who he made me to be, growing in grace, being honest, taking some constructive criticism and striving to grow, but not putting like an insane, almost unrealistic level of achievement on myself. So I needed to hear this. I hope you needed to hear this too today, because doubts come and we need to decide what to do. Are we going to let them bury us, or let it kind of like be that wind, right? You're like, there's a little bit of truth to that statement, but it doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person. My children are doomed. And this whole big family mom stuff was just a terrible idea, but darn, it's too late now. Sorry, kids. Your life stunk. No, I'm not going down that road. Instead, I'm going to say, God, your grace is sufficient for me, right? And it's made perfect in my weakness. And my weakness sometimes, my flaws, my failings, my didn't get it all done, very obvious, painfully obvious sometimes. Hence the grace of God that I need every hour. So I hope this has been an encouragement to you. I know I actually got encouraged today. I was feeling really I was just having a moment and with my big family moms community and being like, Lord, okay, new season. Am I going to ramp it up and start to do more, or am I actually going to keep it scaled down and do less? And I'm leaning towards doing less. And I thought, well, is it enough? Am I really serving well? Is it worth it for the time and the effort, for the emotional effort involved with a group that's like over 4,000 women and growing every day? And there's, work and money and time involved. There's just no getting around it. Just having a moment. And then I got this totally unexpected Facebook post that someone posted in the group. I had no idea that my big family mom course that she heard about, by meeting me in this community, had impacted her so much. I started crying when I read it because she's telling me like I was making a difference in all of my flaws, and and she's telling me that like her home is so much calmer. She used to have these like really, really crippling fears that her children would be taken from her, like they go missing, right? A common big family mom that you just hold a woman in the shoe and you don't know what to do and you can lose somebody. Something terrible will happen because you just were never enough. And she's just listing it all off. If you're in the group, feel free to take a look at it. I was so encouraged. And God just spoke to me in this moment as I was mentally preparing for this time with you and sharing what was on my heart and being like, how do I put it into words? I felt it more than I heard it. It was like a hug, and I needed a hug. At the same time, another woman in the group sent me a private message, and she's just like, "You're doing an amazing job." And I was like, "Thank you. I really needed to hear that today." And I didn't ask for it. God knew, He knew, He knew. And I just felt that grace is sufficient moment. It was so encouraging. So if you're not in my Big Family Moms community and you're connecting with me for the very first time on YouTube or wherever you're picking this up, and you would like the encouragement of being with other Big Family Moms who get you, link is below. And if you're like, what was that Big Family Home Mom course you said? Yeah, it's a custom course that I put together for Big Family Moms that I learned the hard way to help shave off years of stress and time and money, because I did not come into motherhood prepared or planning on having a big family at all. So I gave everything I had to give, how to get organized, get into routine, how to stay calm, not be screaming at your kids. Her husband said their home is different. And it's like, she said it's a world of difference. The calm, her son was like singing, "I'm matching the socks, I'm matching the socks." As he was, she's just finding both grace and strategy, which is my heart to help other Big Family Moms. So that's linked below. If you're like, "Tara, thanks for the group, but I actually need help right now," then you can go ahead and grab that course if you would like. So I'm going to pop out. Look forward to connecting with you in the group and in the comments. I hope this has blessed you.